Hello, friends. Welcome to a C++ tutorial. This will be our introduction to files in C++. There are many things you can do with files. Obviously, everything gets stored in a file, otherwise you lose it. There are text files in there, binary files. Nowadays, whether it's a Mac or Windows, doesn't matter if it's what operating system it is in Unix or Linux, whatever. The extension of the files tells the operating system what kind of program it is or what kind of program will open the file. But this is a bare introduction. So there's 4 steps for files in C++. I will get more in depth with files later on another tutorial. This is for text files only. The first step is you got to include fstream. That is the first step. The second step, you got to declare your variable. There's 3 basic variable declarations: OF stream, IF stream, or F stream, where OF stream is for output, IF stream is for input, and F stream is for either one. The third step is to open the file. We'll see that on the next slide. And then the fourth step is to close the file. So to open the file, this first save data into the file. I would do off stream O file. This is just for output file. I just declare the variable, doesn't matter. See, now that I have F stream as my include, I have new data types that I can use, and this is one of them. Then I'm going to do O file dot open, and then I give it the file name. And it can have an extension, of course, it could be txt. I'm using a Mac, I'm just going to put a file name, it doesn't really matter. And then, as you can see, I'm using the double less than signs, O file. I'm putting hello world by Ray Ojeda, my name, and then /n for new line. Can I do numbers, doubles, strings? You can do anything, okay? But remember one thing, this is a text file. So the way I save the information is the way I gotta get it out. I'm not, there's by the way, there's sequential files, and I didn't mention that. And there's random access files. So this is for sequential files only. I'm not doing random files yet. I'm gonna do that later. Because this is just an introduction. So if I put in 3, if I do O file double less than sign, I do hello world, then I do another text, another string, another string. That's the way I got to get the information out. Okay. The way the order that I put the data, I got to get out. If I enter a string and then a number, I got to read a string and a number. So there's limitations to this. That's the first one. It has to be retrieved in the same order that it's put in. And the second limitation is obviously speed, because I'm going sequentially. So anyways, but this is just an example. I'm putting O file there, and then I'm closing the file. Step 4, O file dot close. Now, if I wanted to open the file, I could have used O file, by the way, if I wanted to, but I'm going to use I file. The same concept. I'm going to open the file name. This time I'm going to use get line, and then I put I file any string now, and then I'm going to close it. Couple of things that you got to see here. Number 1, since I'm doing a string right here, I got to include string, and then I got a string, and then I'm using any string as my file name. So as my string, I'm sorry. So basically I'm doing declaration of strings. I can use strings, and I'm putting the information of the file name into any string. Any string after this, any string will be equal to hello world by Ray Ojeda. Now, why didn't I use the CIN greater than? Because I have spaces. And if I use the sin, if you remember from a previous chapter, my tutorials, sin will consider the space as a new string. So if I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strings here, if I do sin greater than, I don't know, string 1 greater than string 2, I don't know, comma, I could, but I don't know what the size of my string is. So the best thing to do is get line, and this here /n will dictate the size of my line, and then I close it. The best way to demonstrate this is obviously just doing the program for you. So there's only 2 slides here. Now, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's do the examples, and I will go over them as I type the examples. Okay, so here we are now in my Sea Lion in my Mac, and I'm going to do some examples of files, basics file stuff. Okay, so I included already I have a file. It's called stream CPP. I included IOStream, FStream, and string. I included these 3 because I'm going to be throughout the examples. I'm going to use the same file. Okay, as usual, I'm going to use the same file, and I'm going to type it as we go. The first basic thing to do, I'm going to do OF stream. I'm going to do O file. And then an if stream I file. I'm not going to put any comments. Just know that this is my file and my input file. I'm going to see out writing hello world on the or onto the file name. What should we call this? File name .txt. Sure. Just remember one thing. I'm using a Macintosh, so TXT doesn't mean a lot here. It doesn't mean a lot, but it will work. Just a matter. The Mac will put in the extension no matter what. So see out. So then I'll do all file dot open, and my file name is file name dot txt. Right, that's my file name right there. And then I'm going to do all file, and I'm going to input the data into the file. So it's going to be hello world, just hello world, since that's I said I was going to do that. And semicolon. But I want to put the /n. Debating on between that and the NIL, but /n, that way it knows it's a new line. And then I'm going to do all file close. And that's it. That's how you close the file. Now, let's say I want to open the file. So I'm going to do cout, reading the contents of file name .txt and displaying the text. So I'm going to do ifile.open file name.txt. Then I'm going to get line ifile, comma, any string. Of course, any string has not been declared. So I'm going to go here and declare it. String, any string. There we go. I had not declared my string. And now I'm going to do ifile.close. Close my file. And finally, I can do cout any string and line. And I don't have any typos. Let's see what happens here. So I'll run streams. And you can see here on the bottom, writing hello world onto the file name .txt, reading the contents of file name .txt and displaying the text. And I have hello world. Now, it worked like I said it would, okay? It worked. I should have done that right there. So it's easier to see what it's doing. And there it is, hello world. So perfect. Now, of course, I can do numbers and text, right? I can do both. So I'm gonna leave those there because I like those. There, I'm gonna leave the off stream and the stream and the string. So I'm gonna do C out, writing information into sample.txt, sample.txt. So I change the file name, of course. So I'm gonna do file.open, and I'm gonna call it sample.txt. And now I'm gonna do file hello world, new line. I can do, well, file one, file two, and file three. And then I'm gonna close my file, file that close. There we go. And let the user know, see out. Writing data. So there you have it. I'm writing hello world 1, 2, 3, and then I'm closing my file. This will work perfectly fine without any problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and run it. And there it is. It's simple, done with writing data. Not a big problem. I could, again, I have a custom not to use this, so but I'll do it again here, and then yeah, sample txt, and then done writing the data. So there it is. Let's say that I wanted to do, now I'm not gonna open this file right now. I'll show you the files, by the way, but I'm not gonna do that yet. Let's say I want to input information and enter it into the file. So I don't know. I'll leave those there. So now I'm just gonna call int I double D. I don't know, just because I can, as I said. And I'm gonna do file dot open, and I'm gonna call this one I don't know, info dot, I'm not even gonna put that, I just gonna say info, and now I'm gonna do C out. Now check out what I'm gonna do here now. I'm gonna do C out, enter a word, sin any string. That makes sense. C out, enter an integer, sin I, and put an L here. There we go. Now I'm gonna do C out, enter a double. Sin. There we go. So now I'm gonna get rid of this here so you can see what I'm doing. Actually, I'm gonna save some space because I like it to fit on the screen. So I'm gonna do file dot file I'm going to put in any string. And in line there. O file I and O file D. And then I'm going to do O file that close. So I have effectively, I open up my file, which is info, enter a word, enter a integer, enter a double, and then I'm going to put a file. And I put these end lines here because I want to make sure I put the end line at the end of each line. So let's run this. Enter a word, Washington, an integer 3, 4.5, and there it saves the data without any problem. And I call this file, by the way, info. Info is my file. So now let's do one last example, and I'm going to open up info. So I'm going to leave everything the same. I'll leave all the variables because I'm going to use all these variables. So I'm going to erase all this. And I'm going to do I file that open. And it was called sample, right? Sample. If I'm not mistaken, it was sample. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to save a different file before I do that. So I was just looking at what I was going to do. When I had this in my mind, it was something else I couldn't remember. I apologize for that, but here it is. I know now what I'm going to do. I'm going to do cout how many numbers to read. Then num, and num's not declared, so I'm going to declare right here. I'm a num. There we go. And then I was going to do something like, you notice that too, right? All right, so I'm going to do a for loop. Well, I'm going to do I file, well, O file, I should say that, dot open. And I'm going to call it numbers dot txt. The example I was thinking I had in my mind, I should do a little index card every time I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do a for int j equals 1, j less than or equal to num j plus plus. So we know what that's doing, right? And now we're going to do cout, enter the number. I'm going to send over I, and then I'm going to O file I end line. And that's our little for loop. So basically what I'm saying is, hey, look, how many numbers do you want me to read? I say 5. Well, I'm going to open the file, and for j equals 1 through 5, basically, I'm going to input a number I, which doesn't really matter at this point what it is, and I'm going to input I into that. Then I'm going to do O file that close. And now I effectively close the file. Now, let's say I wanted to open the file and display the numbers. So I'm going to do a file that open, and I got to give it the same number, right? Numbers dot txt. There we go. I open up the same file name, and I'm gonna do while. I'm gonna use a while only because I can. I file while I file over num. Yeah, I think this should work. Should be okay. I'm doing this out of my own mind here. See out. Num and line, and then I'm gonna close it. I file that close, and I don't need to do the brackets because I'm only doing this for a loop for as long as the numbers are there. So let's see what happens here. Let's try it out. So how many numbers to read? I'm gonna say 3, 12, 3, and 12, 123. Let's just say that. And there it is, 12, 3, and 123. Or 1123. I put 1123 and put 1123. And there it goes. See, I asked how many numbers, I asked the numbers, and I printed the numbers. And going back to the program, I include all these things. I got my files. I ask for number. I open up the file for int j equals 1 to the number. I increase it. So it's just a for loop to ask the number of numbers. And each time I'm adding it to the old file, then I close it. Now I open up the file, and while the number of the file is greater than num, see out the number and close it. And this is what it displays right here. So there it is. I'm gonna go ahead and run it again, just to show you. I'm gonna say 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyways, this is an introduction to files. I hope you like this tutorial. And next week we'll come up with what's next after files. All right. Thank you. And if you like this video, please share and do a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much.